We got some stuff to talk about. So, one of the unique things that we're hearing now is that Jameson Williams didn't know about the rule. That's weird. Like, how don't you know? Like, I think that's the biggest question that I have is how don't you know? So he didn't know about the rule, and to get that you couldn't gamble on games. And Dan Campbell is frustrated about the rule. So let's look at these things. Let's talk about it, and let's figure out what this is all about. We have an article that breaks it down really, really well. And so we are going to go ahead and we are going to look at that article. So I want to just take a second, take a look at the article and see what we're seeing. So it starts here. Williams was not aware that he was a violation of NFL policy when asked to give the specifics about the incident. He couldn't, saying, "I'm not sure. That was a while ago." Look, he knows what he did, right? Like he knows what he did, but he also denied that he was gambling on a lot of games. He said he's not a frequent gambler. I'm not a gambler. I'm a football player. So he said he heard about the news on Thursday night, and this is his response to it. And this is crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. He says, "It hit me out of the blue. It hit a couple of other players around the league and on my team out of the blue," Williams said. "I wasn't aware of this situation, but it happened, and I took it on the chin. I was ready to move forward as things moved on, and I got the consequences. It's been my whole plan moving forward from things, just looking at the better days." So these better days that he's talking about are going to be simply after 6 games. Mike or David Highhill explained the process. He's NFL's vice president and GM of sports betting. He said the education and training of the players training the players receive is different than the NFL/club staff receive, which is different from what officials get. "We are very explicit in the training to explain that if you are involved with the NFL, you can never bet on the NFL." Then he added, "There should be no misunderstanding on the policies." Of course, he's going to say that. Like, it's his policy. Like, he has to say that. Duh. Right. So he's going to say there should be no misunderstanding the policies. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't misunderstand the policies. There's something else here to this story that I thought was really pretty unique. And it was one Dan Campbell kind of sharing his frustration with what was going on. And so Dan Campbell, he first, and we'll get in a second to Campbell talking about how great he's playing and how great Jameson Williams is playing. He said, as far as the other stuff, look, he knows. He's talking about Jameson Williams here. He's gotten it from everybody, Campbell explained. It happened. It's an emphasis in the league right now. It's a big thing. Our players know. We've tried to hammer it home. Certainly we did after that point. So he's saying we're really hammering it home after the point. We've hit it 2 more times and we'll keep doing it. But listen, it's happening. The suspension is happening. So what do we do to move forward? So in the meantime, let's get the most work we can out of you. And then when you're out of the building, keep putting in the work and you'll come back and be ready to play. He went on to say this. I thought this was pretty interesting. He said, highly frustrating. It's very frustrating. And he's talking about the suspension. He said, but look, I don't make the rules. That's a new rule and we'll live by the new rule. In other words, what can we do? We'll find a way to adjust, adapt, and still get what we want. I hate that we continue to take away from the game. That's what really worries me. If we're not careful, it won't replenish at one point. But listen, it's the rules. We'll make do and we'll adjust. It is really, really interesting. But it's not all bad news, because the title from this, as you can see, is that Jameson Williams is miles ahead. Here's what he said when asked about the limited sample size that Williams is doing and that he is turning heads at Allen Park. He said, we're already miles ahead with him, Campbell said. We didn't even get this with him last year. So that means he went away and got better. That's what we want to see. He said last year he wasn't able to do any of it, just to be able to build from the ground up and not in the season. He's already in. Here we go. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you see progress. He's got a lot of room to grow and develop, and he needs this time. We've got to sharpen every little thing with him, sharpen the route, sharpen it all, like any of the guys. And then he did talk a little bit more specifically about what he thought he would need. He said, I think some of the biggest growth is just in his routes. Campbell explained, I feel like there's a little bit better route detail right now than I've seen over the last few weeks. That was kind of a point of emphasis. He ran a couple routes Wednesday where, I mean, he's just hitting the afterburner, and then he drops his weight, puts his foot in the ground at about 18 yards and comes back to the quarterback. Those things are pretty impressive. When you can use your speed, not just to take the top off, but put fear in the defense and then put your foot in the ground and quarterback puts it on a rope, it's hard to cover. Now I'm getting pumped up. Like, this is the kind of stuff that we want to see. This is the kind of stuff that we want to hear as Detroit Lions fan, is just that Jameson Williams is getting it. And this is the first time in the process that we're really hearing, like, man, oh man, Jameson Williams is ahead of the curve. It's always been, oh man, I wish he was a little bit further along. Or, you had the gambling thing, and it just felt like, and I mean, first it was the ACL, then he came back. I wish he was further along. But now all of a sudden it's like he got those 4 or 5 weeks. He didn't play great, let's be honest. And maybe it was a little bit of a reality check for the young man. Maybe it was a reality check of, you know what? I can't get by just being great and talented. I got to put the work in. And he clearly put some work in, because if he goes from being behind the last time the coaches saw him to now he's in OTAs and they're like, dude is straight up balling, and he's taking his speed. And not only is he taking the top off the defense, but he's also able to put his foot in the ground at 18 yards, plant, come back, quarterback puts it on a rope. You can't defend that. If you have a defender in a full back pedal or even hips turned, how are you supposed to stop that speed? That's what the speed does. Jameson Williams is thrilling to me. It is amazing watching this guy and the speed that he has. If he can put it together, oh man, how sweet it's going to be. He will end up being the best receiver in the year he was drafted, in a very good wide receiver core, or a group of wide receivers that were drafted that include Olave, Wilson, and others. He can absolutely be the best of them, and I would love to see it happen. So there you go. He didn't know about the rule. Say what you need to say about that, and we'll figure out on the next one. But hey, everybody, thanks for watching this. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.